So it's a random day at 7 a.m. on May the 30th, and I'm scrolling through my phone on Facebook Marketplace because there's nothing else to do at 7 a.m. So I'm looking on Facebook Marketplace and I find a mid 2014 Apple MacBook Pro 15-inch Retina with a 500 gigabyte SSD, 16 gigabytes of RAM, and a quad core i7. Now, this thing was only $100, came in the original box, and literally everything. So I had to jump on this immediately before anybody else did. So I grabbed my keys and I headed there that afternoon, about 30 minutes away during horrible traffic, and somehow horribly parking next to two vehicles that are pretty much identical to mine. I finally got the MacBook Pro on my desk. Now, obviously, I looked and I saw this before I bought it because I'm not that kind of person. So here it is. There is not really any scratches on this device. It looks great getting it out of the box here. As you can see, the bottom, which usually has a bunch of scuffs on it, is pretty clean. There's not really much happening except for like something right here. That's not bad though, especially for being a 12-year-old computer. There's no like dings on the side. The only complaint that I have is that there's a little dent right here, but apparently they dropped their iPad on it somehow, and that's what happened. But whatever, that can happen. I can try and push it out, but who knows. Going into the box, we have this looks like a brand new extension for the charger. It doesn't look like it's really been used. And then we have our giant 85 watt MagSafe 2 charger. And then I believe we have our manuals. Yep, we got our MacBook Pro user guide, and then we got our hello manual. Jeez, thing's freaking long.
A few moments later.
Anyways, the box is the boring part. We want the fun part. And the fun part is obviously the MacBook Pro. Let's just set this up here on top of the other 15-inch MacBook Pro. So I kind of cleaned off the screen, however, it's still a little bit dirty, but that's kind of expected from a used device. And in the keyboard, you can see it's just really dirty in here, which makes sense because people are typing, getting their dirty little fingers all over it. But the main thing is the inside. I want to reapply new thermal paste to the processor, and I believe this thing also needs a new battery. And with Amazon's epic overnight delivery and saving $15 with coupons, we got this. This is obviously not any fancy battery like from iFixit or anything, but it's a Ninja Bat Pro, which I've used their batteries a few times, and they're honestly not that bad, especially for being an Amazon battery. And it has a 1-year warranty on it as well, so as long as it lasts a year and I can get rid of this thing and sell it online, then we're good to go. I'm just kidding. I make sure that all of these batteries work perfectly before selling these devices. Because if you don't know what I do, I resell Mac devices. That's why there's hundreds upon hundreds of Macs up here. There's actually not a lot right now. I'm pretty low on stock. Anyways, back to the video. So we have this battery. And it seems to be pretty nice. It's just a brand new battery. Typical giant battery. Goes right here. We got to get in here and change this because I do believe it needs a new one. Let's boot it up. And within about 12 seconds, it boots right up. All right, and our Mac password is the wonderful 1234. And then we can get inside of this thing. All right, so here is something very interesting. As you can see, the battery is at 26.1%, and the laptop is a mid-2014. But something happened here. Apparently, the manufacture date is December 23rd of 2024. It's March 30th. 2024. So this is a futuristic computer, obviously. This is the first time I've seen anything like that. So we'll just pretend that that's not there, because obviously this is a 2014 Mac. But let's check. So we obviously has 123 load cycle counts. macOS status is good. Okay, so something's wrong with this coconut battery. Let's not use coconut battery anymore. Obviously service is recommended, and this is the 15-inch mid-2014 2.5 GHz quad-core Intel Core i7 with 16 gigabytes of RAM, and it should have 500 gigabytes of SSD storage. So, perfect. This thing is ready to go. Let's plop a new battery in this thing, open it up, and let's just take a look. Shut it down. And by undoing the 10 wonderful screws, we can finally open up this wonderful MacBook. Now, this thing is probably going to be pretty dusty due to the fact that there's two fans in here that suck in a whole lot of air to cool down the giant CPU. This Mac has only been serviced once, and that was about 5 years ago. Not bad. Fair. And even though there's not a lot of dust in this device, I'm still going to go ahead and brush it out just to make sure that it runs at maximum performance and doesn't overheat or do anything weird with the extra dust. Now the A1398, which is what this MacBook is one of the last MacBooks to have a really easy battery to change out. All there is holding this thing down is just some adhesive, which can easily be pried off with a little pry tool and some Gooby Gone, and as you can see, it just pops right out. Now, these models get really, really hot. As you can tell, they have 2 fans in here because they knew that these would get super hot. So because of that, and because of how powerful they are, the thermal paste on the CPU and the GPU are definitely dried out. So using some Arctic MX4 thermal paste, we can take the heatsink off and then get into the processor and put new thermal paste on. It'll make this thing run a whole lot better and keep it from having any CPU and GPU failures. Now the heatsink on this device is really easy to take off. All you got to do is just undo 10 screws. Nice and clean. And take a look at this. Look at the burn. Look at the burns on there. That is how hot these things get. That is insane. So let's repaste these up. And after putting the heatsink back on, we can go ahead and close up this MacBook by putting the 10 screws back on this thing. This is one of the last 15-inch MacBook Pros that are super easy to work on. Unfortunately, Apple has made it a whole lot harder to do work yourself, which is kind of unfortunate, but you learn new things every day, so getting into the newer Apple is a little bit of a challenge, but the old Apple still rocks. And it boots up just perfectly. It's a little dark. There we go. Just to make sure that this thing is 100% working, and we did put a good battery in here. I'm going to check the battery specs one more time, and it no longer says service recommended. We can check about this Mac and system report and go to power, and we have a cycle count of 1 and a battery status of normal. Let's try the Crapinut app, because this thing was being weird before. Still says 2024, but we have a new design capacity of 100% in the battery, so that is great. And this is a Simplo battery. So Simplo is a good brand, just like DSY and those types of batteries. Those are what Apple uses in their systems. So this isn't technically an Apple genuine battery, but it's made by the same manufacturer. So that's great. And now it's time to clean up this Mac. As you can see, it is really dusty from all the work that we've been doing to it, and the keyboard is just really nasty from a whole lot of use, but that's normal. So let's go ahead and use some isopropyl alcohol, which we can use safely on this computer, to clean it up and make it look really good. We'll start on the display by using a glass cleaner. Never use any type of disinfectant wipe on your Retina display because it will peel off the anti-glare and make it look absolutely horrible. So I do not recommend using any type of disinfectant wipe. If you're going to use something, use Windex. And for the keyboard, I'm just using a paper towel with some isopropyl alcohol, which I can use to get off all of these stains and grime that are hiding in between these keycaps. And I'll do the same thing to the back of the laptop. And now this Mac is clean and ready to go. Even though this MacBook is 10 years old, it's still a really nice computer to this day, as it can still run many applications because it's got so much power inside of it. But that concludes the video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one.